So, probably the biggest question, or I think the most important question is not just finding your niche, but I think how to get started, finding your why, in that journey, and kind of deciding what it is you want to do. Dude, you've had an awesome journey in the last year. We spoke about it was just the other day, where you were a year ago compared to now, and a lot has changed.
I'd be at work right now. Or I'd be on the gym floor right now. That's the biggest difference.
Dude, it's been massive, and obviously, now as one of your best friends, it's pretty cool to see the difference in your life outside of the gym because of your ability to now work from anywhere and help and impact the right people, and the people that you want to help. Just even on that level, what has changed in your life outside of work because of this journey, that has added, maybe more value to everything else that you're doing?
I think the big one is, and as you know, and I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I'm not afraid to share anything on social media. And I went through a real bad patch last year, and probably just before and during and around the time I started working with you and hiring you as a mentor. And I think the biggest thing for me has just been reducing my anxiety, my stress, my overwhelm, taking bigger action and the right kind of action at the right times, which has obviously as well resulted in me being less anxious just generally. So I think for me, like in terms of mental health, that has been like above and beyond any sort of financial gain I've had, any business success I've had. Just the kind of person I feel like today, like even sitting here doing this podcast, is like completely different. It's like two different people to who I was this time 12 months ago. So yeah, for me, it's like it's massively just the state of mind that's for me is more important than anything right now.
I think it's something that we all struggle with at some level, and I think you probably didn't realize how much you made a comment recently. I think it was last week, that I'm very different as a human being to the person that you thought I would be. And I'm happy for you to be as open and
Yeah,
honest about that, as I think it's important to be transparent. But
yeah.
um, I don't even know the answer to this, and I don't know if I should ask you this live on a podcast. I'm going to ask anyway.
Yeah.
What are maybe some of the things that surprised you most about, maybe, be it work ethic, or just even me as a person, or all of
Okay.
these different things that maybe would have appeared a little different to the perception you had of me online?
So anyone that's watching this can see your cover model behind you and that guy in that white t-shirt, and you just picture, like egotistical guy, thinks he looks the part, like sounds the part, whatever. He's just trying to make a quick buck on social media and just trying to do his bit in the industry. And then meeting you and like understanding how deeply you analyze and like how much you care about your fitness clients and now obviously your business clients. That's what sold it to me, when I was just like, wow, okay, this guy, it's kind of like you're like, you've got that whole geek chic thing down to a T. Like when you started to tell me about the books you were reading and like the podcasts you were listening to and like the amount of money you had invested into mentorship yourself, I was like, oh shit, like this guy, like he's legit. It's not just, it's not all hype. There's so many people out there now trying to do this whole business coaching, six figure, whatever. And I was like, you showed me everything. Like you backed it up. I saw the inside of your business, all the like the hundreds of thousands of people you've helped over the many years you've been doing this. And I was just, yeah. So for me, I think it was just more how kind of authentically, and then, let's be real. Like you've shown me, you've read out messages before from clients that have sent you some really like deep, thoughtful messages. And I've seen the way that's physically and emotionally touched you. And it's things like that. And I don't think people will get that, and they'll see your content and they'll see you talk on your stories and stuff, and they'll definitely get it better now. But I think for me, it was just more of how much you really do actually, you don't just say it. It's not a sales pitch. You genuinely give a shit about helping people. And for me, that's bigger than anything. So yeah, I think that would be the biggest thing I took away.
I think that's, for me, I suppose it's that's something that I know, but it's not something that is easy to, maybe bring.
But you
Not.
say you know it, but I feel like until you hear it back, like even now you're all uncomfortable because you're like, I don't know what to say. Because again, it's so hard to not come across like, yeah, you're right, I know that, because that's the thing. It's being humble. So I think even you as well, like we all do at times, we just need to kind of realize like, it's only when you hear things back, you go, actually, yeah. And you give yourself a pat on the back, and that's okay. So
I
I think
appreciate that,
you
dude.
remember
Thank
it.
you. I think I wasn't always like that, truthfully, and I've spoken about this a good bit. Like when I first got into the industry, of course, it was take my top off here, take a photo here, looking for external gratification everywhere. And I think that ties in really nicely to us speaking to entrepreneurs or fitness professionals, personal trainers, online coaches who really want to make it in the industry, because the biggest thing that is going to probably impact your business or change your perception or your potential clients and the people who are already paying you's perception is whether you actually care and you're able to help them,
Yeah.
not how you look or the external gratification that you're looking for. And we've all been there. And I think I made that mistake when I started, and I realized that it's an empty journey. It's an empty journey because, let's just say, I think if you're listening to this and you've got some clients online, you know their email address and you may know them on Facebook, and you know how much they pay you, and you put up some topless photos, or if you're female, you maybe put your bum out here, there, everywhere, doing some pretty extravagant looking squats that aren't really going to have much of a difference on your physique. And the guys and girls, we all do it, and
Yeah. We all
that's
do it. Yeah, we all do it.
that's not going to and this also, we'll talk about your actual why as a trainer in a second, but let's just say that your goal was to build a business successfully and to be stable financially and create an everlasting impact. You doing those things, first of all, it's not going to impact anyone else. It really isn't. And it's definitely not going to impact yourself, because all it does is it puts you into, like that analysis that well, there's been multiple analyses that have been done on this, but it's that trigger of when a light goes off and the dog gets food. When the light goes off, the dog starts salivating because the dog knows there's going to be food.
Yeah.
If you start anchoring and reprogramming your brain to feel like it needs external gratification, well, then when you feel like you need gratification, where are you going to look? Externally. That's an issue. That's a massive issue. And I think maybe this is kind of branching too deep into psychology, but I think especially now in terms of where we're at in 2020 and everything that's going on in 2020, it's a lot of talk about maybe online bullying and people being kind to other people, and due to various things that happen in the media. And I get that, and I always think it's important to be respectful for other people, always. And I think, yes, wind your neck in a lot of the time. If I would never attack someone personally online, and
Yeah.
I've had various situations where I've been forced to kind of look at stuff like this differently to most. But what I would say is, truthfully, if you don't look, and this, it comes from my perspective with taking responsibility for various things. If you're looking for external gratification on social media and online, then if someone says something nasty, it's actually going to impact you.
Yep.
Now, I'm not condoning saying something nasty at all, ever. But what I am saying is, if your value ladder and the metrics that make you happy or fulfilled are internal, there's only one person who can have an effect on that. And I would urge you guys, as online trainers or people who have an influence, to realize that your influence should, in my opinion, be to help, serve, educate, and yes, motivate other people, rather than to stroke your own ego. And the reality is, long term, if you do the first set of things, educate, inspire, try and impact people, you will never struggle for money. You'll never struggle for clients. And if you can understand that having that impact will have a far greater benefit to your self-esteem long term, like some of the conversations you mentioned, when I read through my phone and I look at some messages that I've been sent, even over the last few weeks, let alone over the last 5, 6, 7 years, that's what fills my heart. Like that's what satisfies me, not me getting 1,000 likes on
Well,
a
you
topless
sent me a
photo, right?
message this morning, and I was literally like, and you know me, it takes a fair few messages or something to really get through to me and get me emotional. I was like, oh shit! I was like, I felt like, and it's that thing of like, yeah, getting likes and views and comments, all that stuff. Like, yeah, that used to kind of be a metric that I measure my success by or my happiness by. But whereas now, when you're getting, when you go past that point and you get to the point where you do, like Chris is saying, you get those kind of messages from your clients, or even just having some of our fitness entrepreneur clients that we've had that we've got on the mastermind that might message me and say, "Oh, Dan, I've finally taken Saturdays off work to spend time with my kids." Like, think of the level of impact that has on me versus a few likes and comments on Instagram. It completely shifts and changes when you get to that point. But it doesn't mean that at the same time you don't have to put in the graft and put in the time with your content and speaking to the right person. And obviously we'll get onto that in a second. But like Chris is saying, and I completely agree, you don't even realize what kind of level of satisfaction you're going to get on the other side when you start to get those kind of messages when you experience that.
When obviously you reached out to me a few years ago and we sat down, we spoke, and then a year later you finally bit the bullet. Truthfully, and I know you know the answer to this, and it's actually not something that I've asked you, but do you think that, and I can't even remember what it was at the time, maybe £2,000, it's a lot of money to
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
especially when you're getting ready for a wedding
Yeah.
and all of those things, your future and now building a future with your wife and family to be. Truthfully, what do you think is going to have more of an impact on my life? The £2,000 that you gave me, or the memory of sitting in the back of the church looking up at you, knowing that small
Yeah.
part, but I had a small part to play in your happiness or your road to having freedom in your life to be able to spend, if you wanted 7 days a week with your wife. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but you probably need some guy time or some alone time, but
Yeah.
at least you have the ability to
Yeah.
spend 7 days a week with her.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to have a bigger impact on me at the end of the day?
Well, this is the thing, and I've heard you say this before, and again, like, and I'll be honest, bro. Like, people will hear that, and I heard it before I knew you, and before the impact I knew you had on me, and I was like, okay, bro, that's just what he said. Yeah, like, of course, the money, the money doesn't matter, but now I know you, and I've experienced it myself, and then I've experienced it myself on the other side. For me, looking at people like that, I'm like, he really does mean it. Like, it really is. There is nothing more satisfying than that. Like, the money is cool, and like you said, the money is great and it helps. But those, like, rewards you get from seeing people do certain things with their business or their families or lives, nothing beats that. Like, that's the kind of stuff that fills up your heart, not a few extra zeros on your bank account. So I'm 100% with you on that one.
I think for you guys listening to this as fitness entrepreneurs or fitness professionals, it's the exact same thing for you guys. Like with you guys, with your clients, if you can get into that state of, I want to create an impact, I want to help other people. And dude, we've had 6 people join the mastermind in the last few days. Like
Yes.
every single one of those people, and just for, if you guys are listening and you're kind of on the fence, I'm not going to say what you would normally expect me to say. Oh, reach out, drop me a message. What I'll
Yeah.
say is this: if you feel like you're in this just to make money, now obviously we all want to make money, but if you're in this just to make money, this is not the mastermind for you. If you want to create an impact and have everlasting wealth internally and monetary wise, this is the mastermind for you. But every single one of those 6 people, and some of them, actually a few of them, it was a credit card, overdraft, direct debit, for a few, but they didn't care. They were like, listen, I don't care if this puts me in debt because I know that I'm going to be successful, but their heart's in the right place. And they know that this is something that they need to do to take their business where it wants, or where they want it to go. It's not about the money. It's about that they wanted to create enough impact that I thought that they would be a good fit. Now, 6 people signing up in a few days, that's a lot. But what's more surprising to me than us having 6 people join is that I was able to speak on the phone with 6 people who were really genuine and authentic and want to make a difference. And that's what I love, because I know that if we take them on and we're helping them grow a business and their heart's in the right place, there's going to be thousands of their clients for the rest of time being looked after. And obviously we're helping them, with their deliverables and creating not only an amazing marketing structure, and an amazing branding, for their businesses and their programs, but to actually help them with the deliverables that they're going to give, we know that their clients are going to be in safe hands because we're overseeing everything. So I think it's exciting for me to see 6 people like that jump on in a short space of time and really be, willing. And the reality, dude, is in the last week, that's what, 8 people, maybe 9 people that have joined. We had two, obviously two last week as well, or the day after Valentine's Day. So there's a lot of people in a short space of time who are willing and able to make an amazing impact in the world. People always ask us, is the fitness industry saturated? And literally my mouth opens and I'm like the fitness industry, first of all, there will never be a shortage of people who want to lose weight or get in shape,
No way.
like at all. And I'll tell you what there's a shortage of, but or whether there's an abundance. I'll leave this up to you after I say this. There will never be, and I mean honestly, in my opinion, and I hope this isn't the case, but I know this will be the case, that there will never be a saturated market for good,
Yeah, that's what I
impactful,
was going to say. Yeah.
caring,
Yeah.
understanding,
Yeah.
growth-minded fitness professionals. It
There
will
you
never
go.
be saturated with that group of people. I hope so. If we do our job and we help enough people over the next few years, we'll put a pretty good chunk of those into the world, educated, skilled. I think, obviously, speaking to great friend Ben Pokolsky, one of the phrases that I said on a call with him when we were discussing, some of you guys may know this already, but myself and Ben, if you listen to the last episode, you'll have heard how incredible the impact was that he had on our mastermind crew. And of course, there's been a number of times that he's given various guest lectures on for our mastermind crew, and obviously very grateful that I used the term the cerebral entrepreneur. And what I meant by that was the type of fitness entrepreneur who's willing to learn, is interested in having an impact, educating their clients, rather than just, a quick buck and a quick fix. And I think that's the sort of client that we're reaching out to. And if you're out there and, you really want to create an impact, you have the ability to do so, and you're doing this, yes, of course, you're going to make a lot of money regardless, but you want to impact people, and that's the basis of why you're doing this, then you're our person, you're our people. So when it comes to you looking for your people or your person in your program, there's lots to consider. Yes. What have you found, dude, that people kind of maybe resonate with most when it comes back to deciding? Interestingly, ex-client of yours, Stephen White, last night we spoke, and like a lot of people, you are probably your demographic. Not always, but a lot of the time, more often than not, it's a good place to start. So depending on what it is you want to do, very often your journey will probably dictate maybe the first step of where you should be looking to create a niche. What other tips would you advise people do?
Yeah, so I'd say and Chris will know this, because the blessing and the curse of being someone like myself, very creative and imaginative, is nailing down on one thing and sticking to one thing can be problematic at times, but a good problem to have at least. And for a long time, I was trying to find my niche in different areas. I always try and use the analogy of trying to, you can't shove a round peg in a square hole. It's just not going to fit, right? So yes, it may be a nice shiny round peg, but if it's not going to fit in the square hole, it's not going to fit. So one of the best places and the best recommendations I can give to anyone watching or listening to this is start just by looking at yourself. Like, look at what you enjoy, and share that on social media, whether it's the books you read or the podcasts you listen to. Whether you're into music, whether you're not into music, be very loud and open with your opinions on certain TV shows you watch, or if you don't have a TV at all. And you'll soon start to get in conversations with similar like-minded people. And it's no shock or no surprise when you get those people on the phone, or you speak to them in a direct message, or you speak to them face-to-face on the gym floor, that they're going to buy into you and your business and buy into your programs far easier. There's going to be less friction because you're on the same page. You can instantly build a rapport. That's why Chris and I clicked straight away, because we're similar growth minded people. We like books, we like listening, we like networking, we like meeting new people. We are both willing to invest in mentorship. So it was obvious we were going to always click. How we went very quickly from mentor to mentee to then employee to now working together in this. So one of the first pieces of advice I'd give on finding your niche or your ideal client, your avatar, is just take a long, hard look at yourself and people that are similar to you and like similar things that you do.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And obviously, the next episode, we're going to talk in a little bit more detail about how you would reach out to these people, where you'd find them depending on who they are. We're going to go through a lot of examples. You know, this is a deep dive series, so you really want to go into the nitty gritty in terms of things that are going to turn the needle in your business. And chances are, if you're listening to this live and you follow the podcast, it's amazing. If you're watching this on YouTube, yo, what's up? How's it going? And if not, then it's very likely that you have been given these as a sequence of emails to help you. And, there's going to be at least 1 to 10 deep dive episodes that should get you up and running absolutely for free. Why? Because we want to create an impact. If you feel like it's the right time to, invest in a mentor, great, we're here. But for a lot of you, it isn't. But what we want to do is we want to help you along the way. In the meantime,
the funny thing is, Chris, that we have these conversations anyway. Like you and I would jump on a phone call and we'd have this exact same conversation anyway. It just happens that we've put a mic in front of us and switched the camera on. So just so people realize how passionate about this we are, we literally have these conversations all the time. Like I'll read something in a book and the first thing I do is message Chris and say, why has he said it like that? Or why has Grant Cardone recommended this? Or, Chris has done a lot of work with Craig Ballantyne and he'll get off a call with him and I'll be like, what did you guys speak about? And we do this anyway. So we're here to share and we want you guys to kind of take as much from this as you possibly can. So
one thing I would love to talk about, dude, is the word of yesterday. So I saw you yesterday randomly. We just happened to be in close proximity. It's always a good time. We speak to each other virtually all day, every day. But that actually, first of all, that we're in the same country, it's pretty cool. And that I just happened to be across the road. What was the word that I used?
Positioning.
And why is that important? And I'll tell you why. Because if you, and I'm not saying you have to niche down. What I would say is if you want to make a decent impact in the world in a short space of time so that you have the finances, the flexibility, and the credibility in your space, kind of you're not forced, but I would urge you massively to at least consider finding a group of people that you can help completely. And why is positioning important? Because if you can position yourself as the person who helps that group of people, when one of that group of people is looking for the thing that you're offering, who are they going to go to? So Dan mentioned, obviously, for those of you who are listening on the podcast, you can't see, of course, but for those of you on YouTube, you'll see I've got these 2 magazines behind me. And firstly, I want to talk a little bit about both of these, and then I'm going to speak about, I suppose, my niche in relation to these. And these are up here, and these look pretty cool and pretty extravagant, but they're nothing to do with fitness. They're nothing to do with magazines. They're nothing to do with anything to do with abs or anything remotely like that. These are a symbol to me every single day, every single hour that even I can see them now because there's a camera in front of me and it's reversed. Every single time I look at these, only one thing comes to mind. I can do whatever the fuck I put my mind to, and so can you. It's not about fitness. It could be, and I've got a book here on stock market investing for beginners, because I firmly believe, like, I was illiterate in business when I was in school. I had no interest in business. I was like, I don't want to be a businessman. I don't want to do this. So what did I do? I did chemistry, biology, physics, and applied maths. Hence the geek. And it was by default, and it was absolutely completely by default, because I didn't really want to do economics. I didn't really want to do business. I couldn't think of anything worse than sitting in an office all day, every day. So I wanted to become, and I've always had a massive growth-minded view of questioning everything and wanting to learn more. And for me, when I see this, it was a case of whatever I want to do, if my why is big and strong enough, it'll happen. So for these, that's just a symbol to me every day that if I want to get on the cover of a magazine, I can do it. If you want to get on the cover of a magazine, you can do it. If you want to grow, it's, an 8-10 figure business, you can do it. Will it be easy? No, but it is possible. I firmly believe, having done my PhD in oncology, that's exactly the same thing. When I look at that and I was asked, what do you feel you've learned from your PhD? And I sat down with my supervisor afterwards, and she was like, well, what are the biggest take homes? It was nothing to do with cancer. It was nothing to do with oncology. It was nothing to do with, and for those of you who haven't been bored already by what my thesis was looking at a specific set of genes that are responsible for people developing leukemia. And a large portion of people have pre-leukemic diseases that they never uncover until they either fall or faint or get a blood test and they realize that they've got a pre-leukemic disease that's not life-threatening, but has a high probability of developing leukemia. And what we were able to do, and for those of you, a PhD is obviously, it's a doctorate, but to get a PhD or a doctorate, you have to discover something that no one has ever discovered before in the history of mankind. And that's legitimately the definition of getting a doctorate. So if I just repeat some work that's been done before, I won't get a PhD. It has to be something that is novel and new to the area that you're studying. Otherwise, you won't get a PhD. It's just, you're just copying someone else. So you have to discover something. And it's such a crazy thing. And even me speaking this right now and hearing it myself, but to discover something that no one in the history of mankind has ever discovered before. And there's actually quite a lot that I was able to discover within these genes with drugs that had never been used on specific cells before. And there's a lot of stuff that I did, and obviously we've got papers being published and etc. And there's a lot of cool stuff. But when I was asked the question, only two things came to mind, and it was nothing to do with science. It was nothing to do with oncology. It was, I can do whatever the fuck I want in this world if I work hard enough. And secondly, probably the thing that had the biggest impact on my heart, that's probably the biggest impact on my drive, and that's why I work so hard. Because if it's like writing a blank check. If you have a blank check, you know that you can get whatever you want out of that blank check. It's within your control. You can write whatever the fuck you want and you get paid that amount. That's how I feel my life is. My life is a blank check and I can get whatever the fuck I want out of it. I just need to write it.
I'm just going to write that one down. Sorry, carry on.
Good, that's fine. But that came to me last night on my walk, and anyone who knows, my walk is my thinking time. But I feel like my life is legitimately a blank check. I can get whatever the fuck I want when I cash that out, but I just need to write it down. And my writing it down is figuring out what I want, how to get there, and being relentless in my pursuit of achieving whatever that is. And that was the first thing that came from my PhD. And the second thing was my relentless desire to impact and help other people. Because for the first time when I stepped in a room with a lot of these patients, and the NHS does an amazing job, but their role is to try and cure or deal with the diagnosis that the client or the patient has at that moment in time. No one ever turns around to the patient and asks them or discusses the one thing that every cancer patient, and obviously my mom was diagnosed with cancer, which is my reason for entering into the space. There's only one question that every single cancer patient asks themselves once they figure out they've got cancer. Why me? Why did I get cancer? What's happened? Like, what did I do wrong? Like, why is this happened? Nobody ever addresses that. And I can understand why the NHS don't, because it's irrelevant. They just want to sort it now. What do we do now? But that doesn't change the fact that every cancer patient is asking themselves, why me? Like, why has this happened? Like, what have I done? My research was trying to answer that question. So when I stepped in a room with someone for the first time and asked them, could I get some of their blood to analyze and try and figure out why they developed cancer in the first place, even if they knew that they had 6, 7, 8 weeks left to live, which a lot of them did, and I built a strong relationship with these people, they were so willing because they knew it's a lot. This whole thing is bigger than just them. This whole thing is bigger than them and their families. It's what about everyone who's going to come after them, that they can have a small impact? They can be that small jigsaw piece that can maybe hopefully solve the bigger picture. And what I realized in that moment and speaking to these patients is that me serving somebody else will have an unlimited amount of gratification within me that an external gratification could never fulfill, because I'm impacting someone at this level. And that really framed my business when I left my PhD, to try and I would say truthfully, I am and became addicted to impacting other people because of the way it makes me feel. And in those months and in that moment, I probably realized that for the rest of my life, I will be some bit dedicated to impacting, empowering, and educating other people so that I can get that level of gratification internally. So I would urge every single one of you, yes, you want to grow a business. Yes, you want to have finances. Yes, you want to have a £10 million house in Cobham or somewhere in Surrey. I'll have all of those things. There's just no doubt in my mind I'll have all of those things, but I will do it because I'm going to be relentless in my pursuit of impacting other people. And the truth is, in my mind, I'll probably get there a lot quicker with that mindset than somebody else. I think that's a massive thing for people to grasp and concept. What are your thoughts, dude? I mean, obviously we speak about this all the time with our clients, but we're legitimately, we're not just saying this like bullshit fluff. This is legitimately where we're at with things. And I think that's probably something that people should do. And that's why I suppose this episode should be that, really, is knowing your why, knowing your purpose, and the people you want to help, and niching that all together, and packaging that, because all of the other stuff that we're going to share in the next few episodes that are really going to deep dive into your business, that's all irrelevant unless you get this step done.
How am I meant to follow that? I don't really know where to go. I'm sure anyone who literally was just listening to that or watched that as intently as me, I'm just like, wow. Like I said, I genuinely wrote down, life is like a blank check. And I think even if that is just the one thing amongst many that people take away from this episode, is just like, yeah, it really is. Like you can manufacture your own life. You can do what the hell you want to do, as long as you go and you take massive action. And Chris and I always talk about this as well. Like, we love motivating people. We love it. Like, I love seeing people's face light up. I love people going, "That's so cool." And Chris will love the fact that I'll go, "Life is like a blank check. That's so cool." But I know what he'll love more than anything, and he'll love knowing that I've gone and taken action on X, Y, or Z off the back of it. So I guess I would always just urge anyone to listen to this. Yes, be motivated, inspired, and everything that comes with it, but go and take massive action. Do something today that you've been putting off for tomorrow, and just go and make an impact. Like, Chris is so right on that. I'm well with you on that one. Definitely.
I can't stress, legitimately can't stress the impact that I suppose that shift had in my mind, from, a young Irish guy doing a PhD, strolling around London, getting, men's health shoots here, and, just, being a lad, getting likes on Instagram, and, social media blowing up, from that to, and a lot happens in a short space of time, guys, because a few years later, I'm sitting here, and I say this not to brag, but to empower, that I'm sitting here with more money than I'll probably ever need already. And guess what? I don't have a car. I don't have a TV. I'm still wearing the same clothes I was probably wearing back then. Like, I legitimately...
That isn't what brings you the happiness, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's
like,
not it. Yeah. So I think there's a lot to be learned. And don't get me wrong, like, I've spent hundreds of thousands of pounds, and that's not an exaggeration. Like Dan knows, I've spent hundreds of thousands of pounds. And a few years ago, I was a student with no money. So every single time that money was coming in, it was going out, but it was going out in things that I knew were going to turn the needle in my business. And I think, truthfully, if you're not willing, and this isn't about you joining a mastermind, it could be anything. It's just having a growth mindset, that that the people who are going to be passing you out, and if you're listening to this and you're frustrated and you're tired and you want to grow a business. Well, the truth is there's probably a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, who have asked you out, truthfully. And the reason that they probably have or been able to do that is because they've learned or had accountability elsewhere. So even if it's just these episodes, take them in. Like literally just take every bit of, the next few episodes, in the next 10 episodes or so, take them in, and actually, like Dan said, the most important thing is take action. Because it's all well and good. I see so many people who read so many amazing books and so many awesome podcasts, but for them it's an ego stroke. It's like, oh yeah, I'm listening to this and I'm motivated, but they don't take any action. And all you're doing then is you're soaking up all this knowledge, and your life isn't changing. Like,
If anything, you can get to a stage where you feel worse for not taking action because you're so overwhelmed with all the knowledge you now have, and then you start to get down on yourself that you're not using it. So Chris is right. It's just all of that stuff is useful so long as you put it to use. And obviously that is our goal and mission over the next 10 episodes of this series and forevermore as we do this, is that we're here to educate, and we're here to share, and we're here to be transparent and tell you what's worked, what hasn't worked, what's working right now with all the guys and girls in our mastermind. And pat yourself on the back. The fact you're even here listening to a podcast like this shows that you're more growth minded than the next person. I know that when I was working on the gym floor last year, looking around at people who weren't reading, they weren't listening, they weren't even looking or thinking into investing into a mentorship. And there's me thinking about handing over thousands of pounds to a guy that I've just met, and he's Irish.
yeah.
And I'm going, and then I'm going ballsy, and I'm going, no, let's do this. Like, I've just met you, but I love what you're all about. Let's do this. Like, if you're listening to this, like, book a call, pick up the phone, like, just like, let's have a chat. Like, there really is just so much to learn and take from someone that's been there and done it. And my biggest thing, and Chris knows this, full transparency, was like, who better to learn how to, grow an online business than the guy who's done it, smashed it, and still doing it? Because we know a lot of mentors in the space that they're not still in it themselves. Whereas we pride ourselves on very much being still in it, like in the grind, doing it.
Yeah, that's actually one thing that came up on a lot of the calls this week, is that a lot of people didn't know, and some people did know, of course, but Spearmint Fitness and the Cover Model Academy is, it's successful. Like, it's turning over $500,000 every year. We've got a lot of coaches, and the benefit of that is because for those who are coming into the mastermind right now, I can turn around and say, hey guys, this is what I'm doing right now to grow my business. This is exactly the script that we're using in the DMs. This is the script that we're using in Facebook ads. This is everything that we're using right now, and it's clearly working. So I feel like I'm in a position, and so is obviously Dan with his business, where I can show you right now what's working. And not only have I grown a very successful online business, I'm currently still doing it. There are actually quite a lot of mentors in the space, great friends of mine, and I'll be honest and I'll say it to them. And we laugh and joke, and I call them on a little bit of bullshit sometimes, but they haven't ever grown an online fitness business. They've done other things, obviously without going into specifics of people, which I never would. Ask yourselves, okay, if you want to grow an online fitness business to 100K, $250,000, $500,000, or $1 million, well then surely you would want to go to someone who has grown an online fitness business to that scale. Not many people in the industry have done that and are still doing that and are able to help you and impact you in your business. But this isn't about me. This is about you getting started. And I hope that what you've taken from this episode is a little bit of clarity in terms of figuring out, hopefully empowering you at least. One thing that Dan said, which is so true, is if you're consuming all this content and you're listening to all these podcasts and you're getting all this information, but you're slowly procrastinating more and more and more and more. I don't know about you guys, but if you've ever stayed in an amazing hotel and you go down for breakfast, there's just so much stuff you don't know what to have. And you literally spend the first 15 minutes strolling around going, do I want waffles? Do I want pancakes? Should I be sticking to my diet? Do I want this? There's just so much to choose from. You end up not having fucking anything. Whereas if someone's handing out, I don't know if you like these, there's like chocolate little marshmallows. There's like marshmallows, that chocolate cover thing that you get. This like
Yeah,
You
yeah,
get like for a pound, you get like a massive box in a cash and carry,
yeah.
or you guys call it Costco or Musgraves. If someone's handing them out on the street like they used to when I was in university, oh yeah, I want one. You take it, you eat it, you smash it, and you're gone. You go to like a 5-star hotel, you go down for breakfast and they have everything, and you're there for about 10, 15 minutes trying to decide what the fuck you're going to eat. That's the difference between having a direct path to success, because someone's given you what you need right now and has said, here, go to do this, execute this. I guarantee you it'll be beneficial for your business, versus consuming all this content and not taking action and being overwhelmed. And chances are, from what we've seen at least, the biggest crutch or biggest mistake or biggest mindset flaw is imposter syndrome, and not feeling procrastination, imposter syndrome, and just not feeling like you're good enough. The vast majority of people in the fitness industry suffer from those three things. Even at our level, suffer from those three things. The reality is that is actually getting worse by you taking in a loads of information and not executing and not having accountability. So you're actually getting worse, not better. You're learning more, but you're not taking action. You become overwhelmed. And what a coach does, as you know, because if you're listening to this, you're a coach and you're helping other people to not do keto, not do intermittent fasting, not do carnivore, not do a million things, just do one thing. Or just do the one thing that you need to do right now. Once you've done it, we move on to the next. That's something that's a clarity that you won't get by yourself. Now, I urge you massively either to listen and take action to these episodes. Of course, you can reach out to us, and if and only if we feel like you're a good fit for the program, we can have a discussion, or legitimately find maybe a buddy or someone who's doing what you want to do and have an accountability buddy that you can bounce ideas, off backwards and forwards. And I think that at least will get you, off the ground and up and running. If you're in a situation where you feel like you want to invest in your business at some point, but now is not the time, that's absolutely fine. We the screenshot I shared today with Dan is from a client who has been in debt for was in debt for a long time and took the plunge and put himself in even more debt to join the program, and started making more money than he's ever made in the first few months, and he's been on ever since. So I would urge you to kind of figure out what your priorities are in relation to your business as well, and then at least have a discussion with somebody. If you feel like we resonate with you, great. If someone else does, speak to them. What I would say along that line is, pick someone who has actually done what you want to achieve, not just helped people do what you want to achieve. Because if you're in this space, you're obviously helping people achieve those things, but surely you would prefer, if I wanted to become an amazing painter, I would go to a painter, I wouldn't go to a builder. It's just facts. So I would really urge you at least to consider that aspect of things. Dude, if you were to summarize, I think based on a lot of the conversations that we're now having with some of our clients within the mastermind, what would you say are some of the important things to consider when figuring out a niche? Or the question that a lot of people are asking right now is it too soon for me to niche? How would you answer that? And I suppose to summarize, what do you think would be the best way to let people, I suppose, leave the episode and actually take action?
Okay, so in a second, I'm going to give you an actionable thing to do, like a task to do, an exercise to do, to try and help you know exactly where you could start by niching down. But the first thing to answer Chris's question is, I guess to start with, if you don't have an obvious niche that screams out to you, it was like when I was speaking to one of our coaches, who's a younger guy, he's a vegan, and he loves talking about veganism and the fact that he's vegan. And he said to me and Chris that he didn't know what his niche should be. And we're sitting there across the table like, if you've got an obvious standout niche, be ballsy and don't be afraid to niche down right from the off. There's no harm in doing that. But at the same time, if it's something that is a bit cloudy and a bit hazy right now, and you kind of like working with women, but you've got a lot of male clients, you're not sure if you want to go down like the fat loss route, but you also like muscle building, there's an exercise and a task I'm going to help you with in a second. But I would say in the beginning, of course, like Chris and I would work with, like almost anyone when we very much started this business. of getting into the fitness coaching world. But over time, obviously, you look at the clients you've acquired, you look at the ones that have had the best success stories, the ones you've resonated with the best, and then you start to see certain trends. So I would say if you're not taking stock of who's on your books, who your ideal clients are, we do this thing called like the traffic light system, which we'll go through on another episode. But essentially, we start to identify who your ideal clients are. But I would say in the beginning, yeah, don't be afraid to work with more people. But as you start to see trends of, oh, I seem to get the best results from guys, not girls, or I seem to find that I'm always getting guys doing my polls and my stories, that will start to flag up. And that would definitely flag up to me, Chris, and the coaches at Fitness Coach Freedom that there's a potential niche to be had. But I would say if you've got a very obvious niche right now where all your clients are female, you're a female, or you're a mum and all your clients are mums, that should be an obvious place to start, in my opinion.
Yeah, awesome. I think that's the first step. And you know what we'd love you to do is we're going to give you some actionable steps from this episode. Like we're going to give you at the end of all of these episodes, things to do. And just like the breakfast, we're not going to give you a million things to do. Dan's going to give you one thing. I'm going to give you one thing. Just do those two things every single episode for the next 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 episodes that we're going to do to help you impact. I'm gonna have to think of mine, dude. What would you say for you at least? What would the one tip or one actionable step that you want everyone listening to this to go away and do between now and the next episode?
Okay, so if you haven't already, and I definitely would say going forward to the next episodes, and if you're watching this on YouTube, always have a pen and paper ready. I've even got a pen and paper ready because the stuff, Chris will come out with something like that quote and I have to write it down. So grab a pen and paper, grab an A4 piece of paper, and I want you to section it off into 4 quadrants. In the top left one, I want you to put the word qualify. On the top right-hand one, I want you to put the word quantify. At the bottom left, frustrations. And in the bottom right, feelings. And Chris is writing this down as we go. On the top left quadrant, you need to essentially say to yourself or say out loud or write down, I help X. Okay? I help X do Y. So essentially, mine would be, I help guys get shredded for their summer holidays. That's my niche. That's who I help and how. In the quantify section on the right, I'll give you another example. You would put, I help guys get shredded for the summer holidays in 12 weeks or less. So this is really important, guys, that you kind of quantify the length of time you typically take to get people their initial results. Obviously, chuck in the or less bit for a little marketing tactic there, and you can have that one for free. The bottom left one, quadrant, is frustrations. So you try and think of a typical frustration that your niche, your ideal client will go through when they're on their fitness journey. And essentially you're saying how you're going to smash through that. So I would say I help guys get shredded for their summer holidays in 12 weeks or less without having to spend hours in the gym. And then the final part, and this is the killer one, is the feelings. Because at the end of the day, it's about making your clients feel a certain way when they get results. And mine might be, whilst feeling like you can take your top off at Ocean Beach, Ibiza, and feel like the most shredded guy at the pool party, for example.
With Wayne Lineker standing beside you.
With Wayne Lineker shaking my hand every year, forgetting my name. So just to run it through, and this is so that you go away and do this, and this is a really good place to start, is I help guys get shredded for their summer holidays in 12 weeks or less without having spent hours in the gym, whilst feeling like confident when taking your top off at that pool party. So that's my actionable step to do. I do it with all the mastermind clients. It seems to blow their mind every time, we go through it with them on one of our strategy coaching calls. And I'd urge you to do the same thing.
Dude, that's awesome. That's awesome. I think it just puts a lot of clarity for people out there. And honestly, if you're like, oh yeah, that sounds great, like do it. Like if you're driving, if you're walking, I don't care what you're doing right now. Like stop the podcast, come back to it later when you've got a pen and paper, and sit down. Put it this way, if it takes a whole day for you to write that sentence, that's worth it. It'll take you 5 minutes, but do it. And while you're there with the pen and paper, my tip is the one thing that I do every single year. And I say I do it in November. Of course, it's February now, so I want you guys to do it, before the end of February at least. Just in one paper. Now, I do it maybe in 3 or 4 pages. You guys just do it in one. But what I want you to do is when you write down a story to yourself, and I want you to write down probably this Christmas where you're going to be. who you're going to be with, what shoes you're going to be wearing, what t-shirt you're wearing, what you're eating, where in the world you are, what the weather's like. Then you start, once you're in that flow, where's your business? How many clients do you have? How much are they paying? Who have you working for you? Are you happy? Are you fulfilled? What niche are they in? Immerse yourself. I literally mean every detail. Like, have you shaved? Are you going out with the girls? Are you whatever? What are you doing that day? I want you to write down at least one page. If you're like me, it'll be 3 or 4 pages long. Every minute detail, because what it does is that will become a reality. And I'm not just saying this as bullshit. That will become a reality. And I'll tell you truthfully, the worst thing that can happen, and I honestly mean this, the worst thing that can happen is that comes true. Because that says to me that you've set the bar too low.
Yep.
I've done that for 5 years in a row, and the first 4 years I could have read it and I wrote it a year in advance. I wrote it 13 months in advance. Actually, I used to, and I did this year, write it in November. I write it in November, 13 months in advance for the next December. Every single year for 4 years, I could have read word for word, because I look at it all the time. I would have read every single one of those 13 months later, and it was exactly what I wrote down. To you listen to this, that would sound amazing. It wasn't, because I set the bar too low. Last year, I looked at what I wrote in November 2018, this Christmas just gone, and it blew my fucking mind. Because as crazy as it sounds, I did what I should have always done, and I set the bar even higher than normal, knowing that I probably wouldn't hit it. An interesting thing happened. I overshot that beyond more than you can possibly imagine. That's the irony. I set it so big, it forced me to work even harder, and I went past it, like way past it, because my mindset had grown. So the irony is, you set it bigger, you'll probably go past it further than if you set it lower, because you'll reserve yourself and keep yourself there. Think big. And even if you don't hit it, you're still further than you thought. But it was an interesting psychology. So just to put that into perspective, I normally set my bar here and I hit it. I set my bar even further, and because I forced myself to become uncomfortable, I went beyond it, like so far beyond it. I never thought I would have, to be 7-figure businesses. I never thought that I would be on the verge of that, ever. I never thought that I would be where I am and traveled the places that I've traveled and have an amazing team like I have right now in both businesses. It was so far beyond what I had imagined. And all I did this November is draw up something fucking extravagant, because that's what we're about. We're about, and it's not about money. It's about being happy, being fulfilled. Money will come, but it's creating an impact. That's the thing. I never thought that I would have spent, a month in Colombia with my idol and now great friend Ben Pokolsky, him asking me to help him with his coaching program and set that up. Like that's mind blowing to me. Like that he respects me that much in that space. I was obviously meant to be in Bali this week, couldn't make it with Ben as well, but I'm going to be seeing him next month. And even just my network has grown because of where I set my bar. Obviously, a lot of you will know Vince Del Monte. He's great friend of mine. He asked me to be a guest speaker at his mastermind, and he wanted me to come out and film because of how well I've done. And putting up a post, I think yesterday, the words that he used were, "We help exceptionally advanced guys too." Like a year ago, I sat in on what he was doing as a bottom feeder of just like, oh, hey, what's going on? And now, I've been positioned differently. some of you guys will have seen he spent all day yesterday with Dean Graciosi, Russell Brunson, and a few other people who, a picture or two from them is a picture of me topless and me giving out my testimonial. Now, it's not about me. The point is, it's like the network that I'm now surrounded by. I was at Tony Robbins 2 weeks ago. Saw Tom Bilyeu speak 2 weeks ago. There's a lot of people now in my network that weren't even a year ago when me and Dan started working together. Even in 6 months ago when Dan, started, as head coach in the mastermind. A lot can change in a short space of time. A lot can change in a short space of time. So my actionable item is write down where you see yourself at Christmas this year, but do it in detail. Don't just say this, 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 and this. Like, as crazy as it sounds, write down what you're wearing, write down what shoes you have, write down all of those things, because your mind really programs everything far more. Your brain's far more powerful than you realize. And I mentioned it on one of the last podcasts. The Brain That Changes Itself by Norman Doidge goes through the neuroplasticity and the neurology behind creating something like this in your mind and why it's more likely to come true. And it's not just psychology. People think, oh yeah, I'm going to say this and it's psychologically it's going to come true. Physiologically, shit happens in your body, like endorphins get released. Then if I say I'm going to have a 10 million pound house in Cobham by the time I'm 35, every time someone says Cobham, 10 million pound house, or any of the things that I've envisaged in that, my body releases endorphins. Like, physiologically releases endorphins, because it goes, oh, that's what I'm going to have. That's what I'm going to have. And as you release those endorphins, your neuroplasticity and your people think when I say your brain changes, your brain is changing every moment of every hour of every day, because that's just what the body does. It's a continuously dynamic thing. Every time you get a release of an endorphin or a rush or something, your neurochemistry changes in your brain. If you don't think that that's a real thing, you need to pick up a textbook. I'm not expecting you to have, a degree or a master's or a PhD, but I'm telling you it's legit, and read this book if you don't. The Brain That Changes Itself. But then every time that I hear those triggers or I think of those triggers, my endorphins and my neurochemistry is changing, and it's aligning every aspect of my brain to just fulfill the prophecy that I've already laid out in my head. And I want you guys to do the same. So write it down. It may take you an hour. It may take you a whole day. You may come back to it after, a period of time and update it. But I want you to do that between now and the next episode. And obviously, we're going to say you can't listen to any of the other episodes until you do these things. We want you to do that. So take away Dan's, take away mine. We will be back with you in the next episode, where we're going to talk a little bit more about the content that you create to speak to your avatar or speak to your niche, and maybe what platform, how frequently to post, because social media is obviously a big thing, and we want to kind of simplify things for you. And as always, we're going to give you an actionable step each to go away and do between now and then, dude.
And I'd also say with that as well, if you get stuck with any of this, if you're writing your statement, if you get stuck on writing your story, then reach out to us on social media.
Do it. And obviously the Facebook group is free for any of you guys who listen. We've got a free training and support group for, any of you who are listening or podcast listeners. So if you scroll down below, you can flick up on iTunes and you can scroll down below, and there will be a link to join the free Facebook group. You just obviously you send us a notification, let us know where you're at with your business, and we'll accept you straight away. And within there, we're giving an enormous amount of value, like Loom videos, tips, tricks. We've got hours worth of content in there, so you'd be silly not to. It's absolutely free. And obviously within there, you can reach out to both myself and Dan, or below this, you'll be able to drop us a message as well. Dude, I hope you're gonna have an awesome weekend. I know I've got half an hour left until my little burner phone comes out. For those of you guys who don't know, I've got a little, I don't even know what type of phone it is. I don't even know, an Alcatel. It's like a old little Nokia drug dealer burner phone that I take out on a Saturday, because it forces me to actually be present. And it's the one day of the week that I actually try and chill. And you'll never guess, going off to an escape room today. So I'm excited. Myself and my girlfriend going to go for some food, going to go to an escape room, which is kind of like my guilty pleasure right now. And you'd swear, can you just stop thinking? Even when I go and do something like that, I need to be active. So dude, I hope you have an awesome weekend. I'll speak to you tomorrow. Obviously we've got some really exciting calls tomorrow.
Yeah.
We're helping people, obviously mastermind crew. The topic of our main call, our main event is running your first Facebook ad, everything that you need to know. We've got a few other bits thrown in between, and obviously the Cover Model Academy call. Some of you guys don't know this, and when I speak to you guys on the phone, every single person who joins the mastermind gets my Cover Model Academy for free. Now, we've got clients all over the world, like I said, paying between $1,000 and $2,000 every month for that Cover Model Academy by itself. You get that for free within the mastermind. Why? Two reasons. One, because your body is your business card. So if we can help you, which we can, get in amazing shape, in the best shape of your life, that will help you with your business, because at the end of the day, your body is your business card. And number two, the level of content that you get on our weekly webinars in terms of training, nutrition, supplementation, pre-recorded videos and everything will help you get better results from your clients. Absolutely. And not only that, as well as both of those, as amazing as that is, your clients will see that you're still learning and you're still progressing, which is massive. Because if you can say, listen, I'm still learning, I'm still progressing, I'm doing all of these things because I want to help you, great. And actually, fourthly, the reason we give you that as well is because we want you to emulate that level of service. You can see, so even if you didn't do anything that we said and you didn't listen to the nutrition and training that we give you, at least you can see and model that exact replica, that content, that contact with our clients, so that you can do it with your business. And obviously, if we're charging $1,000 to $2,000 every month for that service, you can definitely be charging, even if it was a half that, it's a lot of money. So we want to help you with that as well within the mastermind. And a lot of you guys don't know that. So reach out, of course, if you want any more clarity on any of that. But more than anything, two things: Dan's Matrix, my story, get them both done, join the Facebook group, and enjoy the next few episodes. Dude, thank you so much.
My
It's been a
pleasure.
pleasure. What are you doing for the weekend? Truthfully, what are you going to do? You got to switch off, I hope.
Yeah. Well, off to the gym after this, but that's like my happy place. I love to train. And then this evening, I got a friend's 30th birthday. As you know, we're in that generation where like everyone's turning 30 at some point. Myself, next month as well. So
Oh,
yeah,
what
I'm
date?
out tonight.
What date's your birthday, dude? We need to
Uh,
plan something.
March the 7th. So get that one in the
Oh,
diary. You're probably in some part of I think you're
I'm
probably.
meant I'm meant to be in Bali if that goes through. We'll have to
There you
see.
go.
We'll have to see.
We
But
can
we'll
do some
plan
training.
something,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, yeah.
We'll plan something, definitely. And I think, for a lot of you guys listening, we want you guys to see, just like everyone else, that we're human beings too. Like, yes, we we're doing this and we're helping other people, but we still procrastinate, we still have struggles, we still go through the same things that you go through. We just deal with it better, and we want to help you to do the same. I'm going to leave you with the same quote that I leave you at the end of all of these episodes, and it's that your struggles are your greatest opportunity for progress, and to not shy away from them. I want you to seek them out. Seek out challenges and seek out struggles, because once you do that, you'll overcome them and you become stronger every single time. Guys, I hope you're having a productive week. I hope you're enjoying these episodes. And obviously, we've got at least, I think, if I can rob some time off Dan, 10 of these deep dive episodes for you guys over the next few weeks. So peace. And as I said, join the Facebook group, get involved, and at least we can start to help you. Even if it's for free, we want to help you on this road. It's not easy, and it can be lonely. We've both been there individually, and it's a lot easier with a group of people who want you to succeed.
More fun as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, guys, enjoy. Peace.